right, joining me now is Sean Davis, CEO and co-founder of The Federalist, and Joel Berry, managing editor of the Babylon Bee. Sean, what is big tech going to do to conservatives? Like, look, it's not just censorship. That's what a government does. But this is clearly an attempt at some type of political purge, but I think it just ends up backfiring on them, at least in this case.
Well, in this case, it definitely did. And I'll tell you what, Twitter's not the first to try it. Google tried canceling The Federalist before the election. YouTube, I think just yesterday, canceled a bunch of CPAC videos featuring my colleague Molly Hemingway and me talking about big tech censorship. And I think the big issue is the attempt of these left-wing oligarchs who control these big tech monopolies using their power to basically put their thumb on the scale of what happens in our elections and what happens in our government. To me, that's a lot scarier than a silly flag of a link is unsafe. It's this coordinated effort to use their market power to shut down half the country that they don't agree with.
And Sean, Rogan actually addressed this recent activity from big tech on his podcast yesterday. Watch.
The way she described it to me, she's like, it is utter madness. It's utter madness. And the lunatics are running the asylum, and they have to placate them because it's a certain percentage of the population of the people that work for the company. And they're the loudest, and they oftentimes don't get work done. Right. And when confronted, they talk about their activism. Right. And like, she's like, listen, you are here for, X amount of hours a day. This is your job. You're not an activist.
So she used to, talking about a friend there, he used to work inside big tech, and he's suggesting, it's just a few bad seeds. But, I mean, a few bad seeds, Sean, can silence the voices of people like the President of the United States, the former President of the United States, as China is allowed to tweet conspiracy theories morning, noon, and night about COVID. And like COVID came from Maine lobsters. You remember that little ditty that they tweeted about back in the fall of 2021? I mean, and they're enjoying, carte blanche, do whatever they want. China is on Twitter still. Sean.
Yeah, it's crazy. It actually kind of reminds me of George Orwell's 1984, where the main character Winston is forced to admit that 2 + 2 = 5. And he said, I can, it's not true. And at the end, remember, the goal of the censors isn't to get the person they're targeting to change. It's to get everyone else to self-censor themselves. And it's why 1984 ends with saying that Winston, after he was tortured into admitting that 2 + 2 = 5, it talks about him admitting and winning the battle over himself, learning to win Big Brother. And that's what's really going on. They're trying to bully everyone else by bullying people like the Federalist.
Yeah, and Joel, this is what Russia and China does. I mean, they both, in their own way, cite harmony. We have to promote harmony, and we have to promote the idea of security. But the language is eerily reminiscent of what some of the worst dictators in the world say when they suppress speech, similarly cited by some of our big tech overlords.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw this in Mao's China. We saw this in Soviet Russia. That this worldview, this neo-Marxist worldview, it doesn't just want your body. It doesn't just want your money. It wants your soul. It wants you to change your worldview and give your very beliefs and your convictions over to them to admit that they are the arbiters of the truth and not your own conscience. And so it is an eerie thing that has happened, with technology.
The only thing that's going to change this, the only thing that's going to change this is money. They only respond to money. Until they're deplatformed, they won't listen. I mean, I say deplatform, there's competition. There has to be competition. People just have to start pulling out of these entities altogether. Gentlemen, thank you.